I bought that game because I wanted to see what it was like when somebody makes a game that's primarily targeted toward children. And so I thought, okay, this is probably not going to be like any other game I've played. So what are they most likely going to do with the interface? They're probably going to make it so it's very intuitive. You would think that meant the arrow keys would control the character moving around, but no, they used WASD. And it's like, I said WASD, and some people might not know what that is. The people who were playing this game probably didn't. They had to use WASD to control it, and they didn't know this. It's not very intuitive at all. I had somebody sit down and say, this isn't, why would it do that? And I'm like, I don't know why they do that. Because I know I can do it, because I play games all the time. But people who bought this game either love the movie or they love the books, and now they realize there's a game they can play on their computer, and they're going to use a keyboard as a control, which is okay, fine, but they're arrows to do that, and they did this weird thing. And so it's just kind of like, if you're going to make a game, why put up artificial hurdles where you kind of have to make people know how to play games? One thing I realized with my Space Invaders clone, not everybody knows how to play Space Invaders. It was weird watching somebody play the game and not try and aim their shots ahead of where the aliens were going. Everyone's played Space Invaders, I thought. And so this is the thing. It's not that people are dumb. It's that people don't play video games. And so, one of the things I now think I have to do is add mouse control to this game and take out keyboard control entirely. There are games that they have to sell so many units, and not as many people are buying it. It's like, well, where's the new people coming in to play it? Well, they're just now learning how to play games, and now they're also doing that. So that seems to be, unless people start making games that are a bit more intuitive for everyone, you're not going to see that change in terms of who's making games and how they're being made.
To get back on what we were talking about before with the games and girls, I use my wife as a test subject because to me, she's kind of like the typical casual gamer. She'll play Diner Dash, she'll play Zuma, she'll play Bejeweled. She won't touch any of the games I got. I got Oblivion. She won't even touch that. But those are the types of games that are interesting to her. And not saying because she's one, but because she can pick up quickly. It's really simple to learn. That's probably most average Americans.
A lot of people just don't want to sit and invest 40 hours into playing a game.
Exactly.
All of their other entertainment, reading books, going to the movies, and at most they're spending maybe an hour or two doing so. To ask them that they have to continue playing massive games to do it, it's just, regardless of your gender, there's people who have other things to do. Outside of that, I know a lot of females who play World of Warcraft. I don't play World of Warcraft, so I kind of have to pick up on the lingo. She was talking about dinging, and I didn't know what she was talking about, and it's just like, yeah. It was one of those things where it was just like, okay, I know that's something to do with World of Warcraft, but I'm gonna have to pretend that I know what she's talking about. Meanwhile, I know there's some guys that I hang out with, they don't play games. I've tried bringing everyone together. If you set out a GameCube with Smash Brothers in it, you'll find like 4 people on the couch right away. And then here's my friend where I would be like, you want to play? Because I just lost. Usually the protocol is if you lose, you're out. Make someone else sit. No, I'll just watch. Okay, so so it's not gender so much. People don't play games, and they don't play games that are being made today. So that's why a lot of casual games are coming into their own, because it's kind of weird to call it a casual game, because casual just means it's easy to pick up, which means you can have a casual real-time strategy. You can just have a game that's as complex as you want, but so long as it's got an easy interface and people can understand what's going on right away, that's technically making it casual.
I would argue though there's also a thematic difference too. I mean, a lot of video games, most video games, have a certain 14-year-old male kind of corniness about them. I mean, not corny to me, because I still have a 14-year-old's idea of what's cool. I'll show my girlfriend God of War, and I'll be like, "Is this awesome?" And she's like, "Looks like pro wrestling." And I'm like, "No, but see, it's like 3 gods." And she doesn't see any of that. It's just, watching blood, ripping heads off. And it's like to her, it's like, okay, more, less messy, masturbatory material. So thematically, like Diner Dash has nothing at all to do with Solid Snake, wrapping a headband around his head or whatever, any sort of like fighting, killing, that kind of thing. It's immensely popular. So I think maybe part of it is just sort of a thematic expansion too. And I agree with what you're saying, but I'll also argue, there's a lot of unexplored territory out there.
Not everybody wants to kill and fight. Like a lot of people will argue that, okay, if I'm going to be killing and fighting, can I at least have a reason why? A lot of games don't do a good job of providing that. And then outside of that, there's a lot of different things you can do making a game that's not based on killing and fighting.
Actually, I was going to pipe in. I think Mike had, were you going to say, Mike?
Well, I was just going to say that there's pretty much, you can retheme almost any kind of game mechanic and make it more accessible, not just, without pandering either. There's plenty of casual games that are, there are real-time strategy casual games, there are sim casual games like Virtual Villagers with Keep Fit.
Yeah.
There's Chinko games, there's tons and tons of resource management, and this year we've even seen a couple adventure games do really well where, it's the old, LucasArts type of game where you have to solve small logic puzzles and
Point and click.
yeah, point and click, and it's been they've done pretty well, and a lot of it is because they were smart about not letting people get stuck so that they didn't quit before their hour ran up and they had to buy. But and the themes completely run, they run the gamut. There's a game for the Lifetime show, Blood Ties came out. It did pretty well, and it was all about murder and gore, but it was presented in a way that wasn't it didn't have the sci-fi angle or the war angle or anything like that. It was just it was like TV drama, and
It was tasteful, blood and gore.
Well,
that depends on the player, but
Yeah.
but we're really seeing a lot of that where all of these kinds of games, with the exception of any kind of a 3D game where people get seasick, kind of seeing everything do well if it's done well and it's hits at the right time and gets the correct promotion and all that kind of stuff. But
I was even going to push into, I remember you saying one time, like, the heavily themed games, like, this is the Egyptian theme here, and this is, like, the Wild West theme here. Like, those heavily themed type of games tend to do really well.
they did.
Look at Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Yes. It's changing quite a bit. I mean, at one time, my mindset was, well, I want to have this person think that they're saving an entire city and the world's going to be grateful, but really they're just filling in shapes like a child.
Yeah.
But more and more, it seems to be that the stuff that works in the consoles and works on high-end PC will work in casual as long as you make it, so that anybody can pick it up. And it's
No, I wanted to switch gears quick. I don't know if you might, Joe. Getting some of the games to market. I know, Mike, you've actually, you used to sell your games on your site, then you actually created a portal, didn't you? On the Retro 64 side. I was wondering if you...
well, back in the day when, when everybody got their games at download.com, it was really easy. All you had to do is make a game and, upload it, and if it was good, people would give it a good review, and you'd get downloads, and consequently you would get sales, which meant you could eat. And that kind of changed in the PC market. It's still that way to a degree in the Mac market, where most people go to apple.com. But on the PC market, and then what you try to do is get all those people to purchase to your website and try to build up your audience. And that was my primary goal. And as the years went on, I started in 2001. So as the years went on, you had Real Arcade, Big Fish Games, and these very large VC-funded companies coming in and
Wild Tangent.
Wild Tangent's another good one, surprisingly good for casual. They all sort of came in and they dealt with, they got all the customers, and so it became harder and harder to actually get your game in front of people, and that's when you had to actually take your game to Real, or take your game to Big Fish Games, or Wild Tangent, or Yahoo, or MSN, or whoever happened to be selling games. And so, kind of right before our eyes, the market shifted, but, that's kind of PC downloadable casual, one of the very few where you can't just put out your game and expect some people to play it. Most other platforms you still can.
I just want to go back to, in terms of untapped markets, what's really strange is that with the fact that there's major companies that are probably, they're trying to make games that sell to a large number of people, they start taking their very hardcore game mechanics and trying to make it more mainstream. They move it like 1% towards the mainstream so that they can get so many more people selling. But that basically means that you're now leaving out certain people who really love hardcore stuff. If you played Wizardry, either on original game or all the way up to what was created. This is a really complex D&D-like game. In fact, if you play D&D, that's a really complex game to get your head around. And here's a video game that's kind of based on that same theme. You don't see games being made that complex anymore because they're so, if I'm going to go out and buy a game and I'm a typical person, my choice is Diablo 2, which is really simple, click and